Hey, Rick.
Hey, Megan.
Happy Tuesday. And
It is
it's a sunny day.
finally.
And we've got a hot topic today. It is the topic that everybody is talking about. And now that we've had a week to bask in it, you can talk to us about getting prepared and what some unexpected time crunches might be for this shared equity 20% down buyer program. And go.
Yeah, thanks. Gosh, it's been a crazy week because everybody is a hot topic. We know that. People are super excited about that, and they should be very excited about it. It's probably, in my career, talking over 40 years now, as crazy as that sounds, probably the best first-time buyer program ever. And everybody knows about it now. Everybody wants a piece of it. So the question becomes, how do you get a piece of that without the wheels coming off and losing the house?
That'd be really sad. Yeah.
And these programs, they sound great on the surface, and trust me, it's really, really great, but it has a lot of nuances about it, a lot of rules you have to follow. And if you don't follow those rules, it just goes sideways. You can't catch up. And the thing about these programs that people don't always see is that they are limited funds. And when those funds are gone, they're gone, and they're on a first come, first served basis. Now, with respect to this program, there's a lot of funds. It's $300 million. That's a lot. But you have to consider for the whole state of California, $300 million can go by pretty quickly. But there's a process to reserve those funds. So it's not a situation where you go buy a house, like a typical transaction, you buy the house, have the loan, get a loan approval, close. That's super cool. On these programs, you have to go through a home buyer education process, and then you have to have a loan approval. After the offer is accepted, you have to have a loan approval, and then you have to lock in the rate. But before you can lock in the rate, you have to have your home buyer education completed. So there's lots of steps in between here that we want to be very careful of, because if you get those out of sequence, where you get behind that curve, the risk you run is the funds running out.
Right.
So even though you are an escrow on a home, that does not guarantee that you're going to have those funds available at closing.
That'd be scary. Ugh.
Yeah, so we want to avoid that, right? So we talk all the time on these calls every week for the last 3 or so years about being the most prepared person in the room on these offers. And that is so true on this first-time home buyer program, because if we're not the most prepared, we could lose the house, literally.
Right.
And the other way, it's beyond our control, because the state of California controls that process, not us.
Right.
So we want to be on the same page with what that looks like. So here's what I mean by that. On this program, there are 2 types of home buyer education. One is 8-hour course, which is pretty easy. It's online, 8-hour course. But on this program, there's one additional step. There's a 1-hour course, which teaches you how the equity share works. That's a 1-hour course. The 1-hour course is easy. The challenge is there are so many buyers that want this program. Right now, the next appointment available for that piece of that education, is you ready for this? It's June.
Oh, no.
That's how popular this program is. Right.
What? It's the beginning of April.
This program is exploding. Now they're working on solutions so that we can move that date up. But again, that's beyond our control. So here's my message. I can't say this strong enough. If you're interested in the program, we want to get the application in right away. Run the numbers, make sure you get approved. And then the very first thing you want to do is get those classes scheduled and get in there right away. Okay. So that's super, super critical. The other piece of it is you cannot lock the rate until you get into escrow.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, exactly.
Now,
yeah.
So here's the thing of it. Now, your funds are not guaranteed until you lock the rate. So even though you have, for example, let's call it a June 1st date for your education to complete that, and you go into escrow next week, there's no guarantee that by June 1st, when you do that education, those funds are still available. So what I mean by that is having a date for that education is not a guarantee of the funds availability.
So can you take the education before you're in escrow?
Yes. So the very first step is make that, schedule that education right away. I mean,
Mhm.
same day. Don't waste
Yeah.
even one day getting that scheduled.
So,
Now,
so somebody calls you, I'm sorry. Okay,
Mhm.
let's just talk about this. I'm sorry to mess up your rhythm here. So they call you, they say, Rick, I want to get in on this program. And then what happens?
application, loan
Normal.
application,
Hmm.
right? Normal stuff there. Very next thing, same day if you can, we'll give you the links to schedule all the appointments for the
Okay.
education. Okay,
Hmm.
get those scheduled.
Hmm.
Get so if you're not
So
buying a
they
house
can
in the
do those
month,
right away.
yeah,
Good.
you can schedule, get that going right away while you're looking at homes.
I like that.
Okay,
All right. That's less things to worry about. Yes.
yeah. Now, once you get into escrow, as I said a moment ago, when you have that date for the education, for the home buyer education, that does not mean your funds are guaranteed. What guarantees your funds is locking in the rate.
Hmm.
Okay. Now here's a couple of pieces of this. Most lenders cannot lock your rate until you have formal underwriting approval.
Hmm. Hmm.
With us, with my program, with us, we can lock, and we're one of the very few that can do this. We can actually lock in that rate and commit those funds prior to formal underwriting approval. So at least you lock in those funds.
Hmm.
But the one thing to be aware of is that these rate locks are only for 30 days. So
Mm.
so what does that mean? If we go into escrow next week, you've locked for 30 days, and you're not closing until June,
Yeah, you
right?
can't take your classes till June
Correct.
anyway. Yeah.
So if that's the case, after that 30-day period is up, you can
Yeah.
extend that rate for a quarter discount point cost for every 15 days of extension.
Oh, wow. So what does that
Yeah.
look like on like let's say they're buying $1 million house.
Mhm.
What does that look like?
Let's say they have a loan for say 800,000,
Yeah.
and you have to have two rate extensions
Mm-hmm.
for 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
So you have two extensions at a quarter point cost each for 30 days. That's a total half point cost extension. So on an $800,000 mortgage, that'd be a $4,000 extension fee.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in most cases, it's probably worth it, because if you don't lock that money in and that money runs out, you're just out. So depending upon where those monies are, it makes sense to lock and take your chances on those extensions. I will tell you though too, Megan, that we are doing the best we can to find a solution to move those classes up, moving forward, and
Mm-hmm.
not have to wait till June to get those education classes completed. We're not
Yeah.
quite there yet, but that's a solution we're trying to resolve.
Wow. That's crazy. Well, that's
Right?
definitely great intel. It sounds like you have to really have your stuff together and buckle your
Yeah.
seatbelt because
Yeah.
I mean, even as realtors, we could put in months and months of work trying to get
Mhm,
offers accepted on houses.
mhm.
And by the time we get into escrow, they could run out of money and we're up the creek and the buyer doesn't have a house.
Correct. Correct.
Oh boy, that's kind of
Correct.
hairy.
So that's why it's so important
Hmm.
to follow these steps, right?
Right.
So if you sometimes I'll talk to a buyer, and like I had talked to a buyer last night. He says, "Oh, can I do the program next year? Can I wait like a year?" Well, the
The
answer
heck?
really is no.
I mean, we don't know what's going to be around next year.
We don't. We have no way of knowing. Now, they're always trying to come up with new programs and new products, but we
Hmm.
don't know from one to the next what's going to happen and what's
Yeah.
available.
Right.
I I don't know if this will be available. I wish it was.
Hmm.
I wish it was a
Yeah. Well, I
billion
mean,
dollars in funds, but
yeah,
it's not.
it's just a lot of money.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, that's interesting. So the number one piece of advice is call Rick, fill out your application, he'll send you links,
Right.
sign up for classes, do that, and just be prepared and know that you don't have your money guaranteed until you lock in your rate. And when you lock in your rate, you got 30 days to close. And if it's going to cost
Mhm.
more than 30 days to close, if you're buying a house that's contingent on the seller buying a house, they could blow that money for you. I
Correct.
mean,
Mhm.
yeah. Well, this is good. I'm glad we had this talk
Yeah.
today, and I appreciate you sharing this experience.
Yeah. Thank you, Megan. There's one more piece of this.
Oh gosh, hopefully it's
I
good.
know,
Yeah.
right? It's actually good. So when
Okay.
you take those home buyer classes,
Mm-hmm.
they're good for one full year.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so if by chance the money runs out,
Mm-hmm.
when the next program comes available, you've already completed those classes. Now you're front in line for the money.
Yeah. Yeah,
So what's
hopefully.
happening? Yeah, so what's happening now, there is a lot of buyers that tried to get into a program last year and those funds ran out, but they've completed their home buyer education.
Yeah.
So now they're
Yeah.
making offers and you can lock and close.
I love home buyer education.
Yeah, it's a really
I,
good program.
yeah, I think that's a good idea. All right. All right. I
No,
think
it's a
that's
lot, I know.
yeah, it's good for today. I'm glad that we have a platform to share information on. So if you want to know more about the equity share program that Rick's talking about here, you can message him. Rick, will you tell your phone number? Because a bunch of people called me last week looking for your
Oh,
phone
yeah,
number. So
sure. 714-315-0373.
perfect.
Okay.
So they can call or text and you can
Yep.
spend a little time on the phone with them. You want to get
Mhm.
some info before you just go shooting applications out left and right.
Yeah, super easy once we get going.
All right. Thanks, Rick. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Megan. Likewise. See you
All
later.
right. We'll see you next week.
See ya. Bye.